Yes, y'all. It's your boy Cam Legend. I hope all is well with you today. Please press the like button before I proceed. If you're a new viewer, please consider subscribing. I'm also doing 25% discount on name readings. Okay? So, right now I'm going to speak about the shadow, your shadow self, because ultimately you're only going to grow physically, spiritually, mentally by accessing your shadow. You see, the shadow is your true self. There's no differentiation between your ego, your shadow, your consciousness, your super consciousness. There's no differentiation. But what the shadow does, or how the shadow is perceived, is it's perceived to be somewhat behind you, your subconscious mind. So these can be your thoughts and feelings, but you don't listen to it. So in times of adversity, we see people say like, oh, it's the government this, it's the government that. And yes, if you look objectively, it is them. Of course it's them. But what they know is that you are more scared of your shadow. You are more scared of your subconscious mind and your ability to manifest. Because if you look inwards, which is harder than projecting energy outwards, you can find a way out. But you have to look at aspects of yourself and say, you know what? I could be doing better here. I could be spending less time laughing at memes. I could spend less time worrying about others. I could spend more time developing new skills. I could be spending more time focusing on my craft. I could spend more time connecting with nature. I could spend less time with my phone. You see, there's many aspects of yourself that can be improved. And people that want to be entrepreneurs, want to be sovereign, want to be influencer, all of these kind of things. You know, some people may not even want to be that. They just may want to make, a certain set of amount of money to live their lifestyle and live in peace. And there's many ways to make money. You can trade crypto, you know, going out on these platforms, speaking your truth, services. You see, because it's only, you know, hundreds of years ago that we started to use paper notes, fiat notes as currency. It used to be barter, people exchanging cattle and live animals as exchange for currency. But people changed it to fiat money for occult reasons, for you know reasons that they say is it's better to exchange paper notes than cattle, but it's more deeper than that. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there is many ways to sustain a lifestyle. You don't have to be in the spotlight, but you do need to access your shadow. I would consider myself an introvert extrovert. I have tendencies of extroverticism, but ultimately I'm an introvert. I just speak my truth, you see, because this reality is paradoxical. It is and isn't at the same time. And once people start looking at this non-dual nature of life, that you can believe in something, but also believe in something else at the same time, that you can see a truth within something, but also see the polar opposite of that truth. When you start going into, non-dualism, you rarely escape the shackles of your mind. Because you have the conscious mind, you have the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the shadow. The unconscious mind is the shadow. And we live in a reality where a lot of people do things even though their subconscious mind is telling them, you know what, this isn't prosperous. This isn't going to be better for me the next day. There was some people around my house, you know, people came to my house drinking. I've kind of given up on drinking now. I'm not completely anti-drink, but where I'm at in life, I have a lot of things to do. And I just said, like, drinking's just like foolish, because you're going to wake up the next day. Actually, some people didn't even wake up the next day. That same night, they were vomiting. They feel rough the next day. Like, is it worth it? What is going on within your mind that you still do these habitual loops of destruction to yourself? I don't see people having these kind of discussions nowadays about, the nuance of life, why we do things, why we're programmed this way. But I'm somebody, that always questions things. I always like to look deeper of the nuance of life. And it's until people start having these kind of discussions that the collective will grow. People think being an outlier is cool, but actually, for the most part of the time, sometimes I feel like, you know what, I'm getting this message across because a lot of people are hitting me up. Then there's times where I just feel like it's just speaking to deaf ears, and that is the dualistic nature of life. But ultimately, if I'm seeing more positive change than negative, I'm going to continually do what needs to be done. A lot of people just suffer in silence. Why? Because of the ego. You don't want to appear vulnerable. You don't want to appear fragile. But ultimately, we can feel vibrations, even if we see physically or not. Energy never lies, So ultimately, it is what it is. I'm in a predicament where, there's even things that happen to me that are undesirable. But I don't really attach to it. I see it as it is what it is. I live abroad, family, friends, all of that. I understand the divine connection between being with people, but at the same time, I know, when it's all said and done, when you die, it's only you going in that casket, you see. So for me personally, I'm just trying to get one with my soul, No one will believe in you, no one will trust in you more than yourself. And it doesn't matter if you put out the vibrations of trust and belief, faith. If there's no tangible results, no one will care. And that's just how our conscious mind works. Our objective reality, perception of reality works is through, if I do this, then there should be this results. But we don't see air. Water is clear, but we don't observe that. You see? So for me personally, I'm someone who passes the veil. And I understand that people will never believe until they see. So in terms of my growth and development, I understand that it can only be with myself. It can only be with me knowing that I project my thoughts into this reality, and I have the ability to change and quantify my reality through repetition, through self-talk, through not allowing the objective reality to cast a major shadow within my mind. So what you're going to realize is that the more your objective reality, aka the reality you see with your eyes becomes more contracted and binded to undesirable situations, the more your subconscious mind is taking on those impressions to carry on relaying that you're in a position of lack, that you're in a situation that you can't get out of. That is how your subconscious mind shadow works. It works through impressions. So the best thing to do, like I said, is when you have an undesirable thought, you need to eject that thought out of your subconscious mind so it does not manifest into something bigger and undesirable. You have to escape these loops. You have to do consultations. You have to work with a psychologist or work with someone like me or who knows about the subconscious mind. You have to continually do what needs to be done, because this isn't an easy journey. I can give people a set amount of books to read, but ultimately books is just the primary practical, theory to it. But if you're not putting it to practice or don't know how to deal with taking 3 L's in a row and knowing how to break a cycle of continual lack, these are the kind of things that I try to bring to the table, because a lot of people speak about things in a mundane, one-size-fits-all situation when we know reality is not like that. So someone could say, well, all right, I started reading about the subconscious mind and manifesting and the shadow, and then, boom, I was getting a lot of results. Then guess what? I just hit a major L. I lost this, I lost that. The primary source of income to attain my lifestyle has been taken away from me. I don't know what to do. Now you're in chaos. Who are you to speak to in a time of chaos? Because you have to go inwards, always. But then after that, you need to look outwards to, all right, who can I speak to help me? Because your network is your net worth. You have to be able to communicate. So at the same time, you go inwards, but you have to go outwards and express outwards. Because if you was just to always continually go inwards, you have nobody to speak to. Your mind will go crazy, you see? So your shadow is so complex. It has all your traumas. Every time you cried as a kid, it is still planted within your subconscious mind. Every moon cycle, your habits become more concrete and binded. Astrology is real. Your subconscious mind is real. Everything they tell you is pseudoscience is actually real. They use pseudoscience to keep you in contraptment with their reality. We call businesses entities. We call spiritual deities entities. Corporation means dead corpse or corpse shell. There's other meanings, but what ultimately is explaining is that a business like Nike isn't real. It's an entity, it's a spirit, it's a deity. What makes it real is people's thoughts and beliefs into Nike. And then we have the tangible results such as sneakers and clothing. Okay? But if we was to say, all right, let's stop producing Nike, Nike will still be here for thousands of years due to the amount of accumulation of products they have produced in this physical reality. There's been people that have died over Jordans. So just how people worship gods and people die over their truth or belief to that God is the same way people die over these materialistic things that have been created through mind and thought. And with that being said, dwell on that, because that is also how your subconscious mind works. Your subconscious mind has thoughts and feelings that, if you have a scared, fearful mindset, that energy doesn't want to die because it's lived in your mind for 29 years, for 30 years, 20 years. You've programmed yourself to fear. So of course it's not going to die, because it's something that keeps alive within being parasitic in your energy grid, and it doesn't want to die. So the only way you can kill that parasite is by accessing the shadow, cleaning up your diet, meditating, going out in nature, gravitating towards fair, gravitating towards breaking your comfort zone. Okay? It's mad hot here. I'm about to shut down. My battery's low. Peace.